Hiaka, everyone, and welcome to today on our special Black Friday, Aloha Friday real estate, Aloha Friday Hawaii real estate show. I got to get better at that. I keep messing it up every week. Well, we're really glad you're here. I'm your host, Peter Kay, and we are here today for our special Thanksgiving edition. I've got my friend Scott Startsman, who's with us on Oahu, and we've got Heidi Dellinger, who is with us in Maui. Heidi, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. I'm actually drinking some Kona coffee this morning from the Big Island, from Dillon's Island. Too bad it's not here.
Dylan's Island. There you go.
Uh, had a great Thanksgiving, very quiet, was this absolutely gorgeous day on Maui. We went out to the blowhole at Nakalele, hiked around there. A lot of people just hike down to the blowhole and then leave, but there's actually some really great hikes around there. Um, so that was fun, and then went over to Honolulu Bay, which is also one of my favorite spots. So it was a great day.
Honolulu Bay has got some of the most amazing surf. They got some incredible footage. And Auntie Joyce was with us. Happy Aloha Friday to you, and happy post Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving holiday to you, Auntie Joyce. We're really glad that you're here. Scott, how's it going over there, man?
Today is awesome. I woke up this morning and there was like a chill in the air, and I looked at temperature said 70, and I was like, well, wait a second, there's a chill, what? But it was perfect temperature when I went to run. I did a run this morning, halfway around Diamond Head and whatnot, and it was like perfect temperature. I wasn't overheating. Trade winds are blowing, bringing in that cool air, so you can tell it's getting into that winter time here. It's like perfect temperature. So it's awesome.
You know, I was telling that to I told my wife that this morning when we woke up. That man, this was the first time, I had to kind of pull the comforter over and keep it on to warm up in order to get out of bed. And it was the first. It was the first. It's been an interesting, warmer, drier winter than last year. I can't go back like 5 years. I can remember last year. I just remember it's a little bit warmer, a little bit drier than last year. So it's good fun.
Yeah, it's funny when we hit the 60s. Our method of like heating up or trying to stay warm is we turn the ceiling fan off and put socks on or something. So we're almost to that threshold, but not quite.
That's very well said. Heidi, how do you what do you do when what's your version of cold, and how do you offset the cold in Hawaii? Scott just gave a good one. I'll share mine, but I want to hear yours first.
Well, it's just not that cold here. I mean, a common question when I'm showing properties to people relocating to Maui is what kind of heating is there? Well, there is none. You don't need it. Sometimes up country, you'll find homes with fireplaces, which is nice because it does get colder up there. But I think anytime you have to put on a sweater, it's cold on Maui.
So is that what you do? You put on like for example, like Scott said, like for me, I've got I'm sort of naturally the cold really affects me, right? So a little bit of cold. Well, first of all, I want to say hello to Joan Valentine. Joan is a member of the Islander Ohana, an alumni of Islander Ohana. Joan, glad you are here with us, and hope you had a Thanksgiving as well. And Val just joined us. Val, thank you very much. I'm very thankful that you all are here. That's my Thanksgiving for today. So welcome back, Val, and of course, Auntie Joyce. Glad to have you here with us. Like Heidi, I was saying, I get cold very easily. That's why I had to leave Chicago of almost 40 years ago. But like Scott, I'll put on I got my socks and I got my sweatpants and I got a long sleeve t-shirt. That's my winter dress with the windows on. What's yours, Heidi? Sweater? Anything more?
Yeah, a sweater, or I have one zip up sweatshirt for emergencies.
For
But
emergencies when it gets really cold.
if you do go to the top of Haleakala, it does get freezing up there. So when I go up there, I put as many layers as possible on. But for the most part, a cold day would be wearing a light sweater.
Yeah. I've got one of those new material sweater things that looks like that new nylon material that's become popular. That's my extra over. Like if I've got when it's really cold for me, I'll have everything I said earlier, and I'll have that sweater on too. It's my major bundle of stuff. Tom is with us. Tom, welcome, Tom. Welcome back, and on Aloha Friday. and a special Black Friday Thanksgiving weekend to you, Tom. Glad you are here with us. All right, you know what? It's 10 o'clock already. Let's get rocking and rolling with some quick news, and we'll go around the table over here. For all of you that have just joined us, we're super glad that you're here. Think about the questions that you may have for us. We got Heidi from Maui today, and we got Scott from Oahu, so we can kind of hone in on those kinds of questions. But anything you want to talk about, anything you want to bring it up today. All right, let's go over some news, and I got some quick updates here for you. First of all, a couple of interesting things, some developments going on here. Looks like COVID is loosening up. We've got starting on December 1st, there will be no state limits on social gatherings and capacity limits in restaurants, bars, and gyms. So it looks like that, hopefully, that restaurant backup that we've all been suffering from is going to start to alleviate itself. And it looks like the arrivals are coming back. I mean, we're just about where we were pre-pandemic, so everyone was kind of freaking out and afraid if we weren't going to make it or not during the pandemic period. They weren't sure about, for example, how quickly the industry was going to bounce back. Looks like it's bouncing back pretty solidly. We're only like a 15% down from pre-pandemic pandemic times. There's an interesting thing going on in Maui. I want to get Heidi's feedback on this when it's your turn, Heidi. But there's a Maui mayor recall. Apparently, there's a group that is apparently fighting back on Maui. They're upset with the mayor and his. And they cited that the mandates, transparency issues, or lack thereof, and there's a recall vote. So it happened last week. I don't know if the recall vote has come through or not, but I'd like to kind of hear Heidi to give us a quick update on that. And it looks like the Oahu hotel tax is going to be going up. So you're going to be paying. I think it's currently a 10% tax on hotel. Transient it's called a TAT, T-A-T, the transient accommodations tax. I believe it's at 10%, and there's going to be cranking up it's going to go up by 30%, which means they're going to add 3% to it. So it's going to be a 13% tax versus not. So if you're going to come to Oahu, do it now. You save yourself a few bucks on the hotel. And then finally, I want to get some feedback from Heidi on this one. Oprah Winfrey bought a 3-acre property. The interesting part about the 3-acre, she bought a 3-acre property on Maui. I think what was interesting is that she paid $7 million for it. But I think more interesting was that the record showed that the sellers, get this one, gang, the sellers purchased the people that sold it to her, bought that property in 1974. So here's what we'll do for this one. So here's the group. Here's the thing, gang. So I want everybody to here, all of our audience. I want you all to put in the comments. I want you to take a guess at what those people bought that property for in 1974. What they bought the property for in 1974. So I'll repeat it again. So listen closely. It's a 3-acre property in Kula on Maui. You could use Google the resources if you could find it. That'd be kind of cool. But it's a 3-acre property on Kula in Maui, on Maui. Oprah Winfrey bought that. It's 3 acres. Oprah Winfrey bought it for $7 million. So here's the question to guess. Guess what the sellers bought the property for in 1974, right? So y'all kind of put that one up there. I see. So Kinaya says 250K. The bids are coming in. So send them all in and we'll see who's, and we'll see who kind of wins the prize over there. All right, so they're all coming in. This is great. Okay, so we have a little bit of fun here today on our Aloha Friday. So look, let's go around while those things are coming in. Let's see who's. Let's first say hello to our friends here who are just joining us. Spencer, aloha from Kona, moved from New York City. Welcome, Spencer. We're glad you're here. Welcome to the Ohana. Banachan 888, aloha from New Jersey. Good to see you. I'm glad that you're here. Glad that you are joining us. Jim David over YouTube, aloha. And Bernard is back. Aloha from New Jersey. Bernard, welcome. Good to see you back. Tom Kerr, who's an alumni of the Islander Ohana, has joined us. Oh, the bids are coming. This is great, gang. We're gonna have a lot of fun over here, and I'm really gonna curious. I'm not gonna put Heidi on the spot, so I'm just gonna have Heidi comment on that number. I don't expect Heidi to have that number because Heidi, neither you nor I nor Scott were here in 1974. Anyway, let's kind of go around and get some news here. Let's go counterclockwise if that could exist. Let's go Heidi and then Scott. Heidi, what's new in Maui, and if Let's kind of blend this one together, kind of save some time. Let's talk about either real estate news or other news on Maui. So Heidi, feel free to give us a real estate update as well as a news update if you have some comments on that mirror story, but whatever you want to talk about as far as Maui goes. Heidi.
Sure. Well, as you mentioned, Peter, there was a campaign launched to recall Mayor Michael Victorino. My understanding is most of the people signing this petition are frustrated with the COVID-19 mandates, the vaccine mandates, not being able to allow kids to play sports or go see their kids play sports. And then there's also some other issues with things slowing down in terms of housing and water on Maui. So the last I have seen, they've turned in all the signatures and the signatures are being reviewed. So it's to be seen what happens if they verify all the signatures. The mayor, my understanding, has 5 days to resign. And if he doesn't resign, then there's a vote. So we'll see what happens. It's always changing over here. But in lighter news, the first whales have been sighted off of Maui. So humpback whale season is kicking off. It's about November to May. We have humpback whales here. They come to Maui from Alaska to have their calves, and it's really fun to see them out there in the ocean. I just love this time of year.
Whale watches are so cool. I used to always, I still say that, whales know something. Whales come to Hawaii for the winter. So they got something right. So whales are quite a bit smarter than we might think. A couple of folks have joined us. Alex, aloha from Visalia, California, and Christy from Reno, Nevada. Christy, I have my daughter lives in Reno, Nevada. So I love that place. It's a great town. And Patrick is back. Welcome back, Patrick. Good to see you, buddy. From Raleigh, North Carolina. Scott, give us the what's the Oahu update? What's going on Oahu? Real estate. Oh, Heidi, by the way, before we go on, is there anything that you want to report about real estate in Hawaii? Any kind of an update that's notable? That's not like the market's crazy and everyone's buying and prices are going up.
Well, buyer demand is still really strong here, and inventory is low. I mean, basically the story continues. I mean, the number of new listings coming on the market is similar to where we were in 2019, but the difference is things are selling at a much faster pace. There are not as many sales happening as we had a really big spike in the spring, this spring 2021, because coming out of COVID. So not as many sales are happening as then, but it's just, the market keeps on going. So, yeah, I looked at what's for sale. There's 131 condos in Maui County and about 167 homes and 131 parcels of land right now.
Wow, that is amazing. Joan asked, "Can we see the whales on Oahu?" Yes, Joan, you can. Actually, Joan, I was thinking about this. We're going to have a Islander Ohana meetup, and we're going to do the Makapu'u Lighthouse hike, which is like the best hike on the island, and it's perfectly suited for whales. So the Makapu'u Lighthouse hike is the place. And Joan, yes, you can see whales on Oahu. Whales are also smart. They visit all the islands. They go to Maui. They go to Oahu. They know where to go. Hey, so look, let's before we move on to you, Scott, I want to announce the winner of the contest. Y'all had a bunch. Y'all saw the guesses. I was flipping them on the screen over there. The winner is Bernard. Bernard at 75K. The actual number that they bought the property for, the 4-acre Kula Maui property in 1974 was for. Oh wait, no, I got it wrong. It's not Bernard. No, it might be Jim David got it. Jim David got it. The price, $50,000. So quite a deal. If you had the foresight, probably I'm going to guess in 1974. Here's my guess. My guess, and Heidi, you could confirm or deny this, but my guess would be in 1974. Someone said, "Why on earth? Why on earth would anyone ever pay $50,000 for 4 acres? That's insane. That is an insane price. You got to be out of your mind." That's my guess. That's my guess in 1974. But today, so those folks made out pretty good. God bless them. They made out pretty good. Bought it for $50K, sold to Oprah Winfrey for $4 million. And congratulations to Jim David for the right guess. Did you think that? So, folks, those of you that we had them like all over the map. Some folks like Jessica had 189, Patrick had 100. All good guesses. I mean, I would even know what to guess. Christy had 5K. So interesting. What do you think about the number about 50K? Does that sound right? So did you? Oh my God, Auntie Joyce, did I miss you? Did she hit it right? Oh my God, did I? Hold on a second. Oh, so Auntie Joyce, forgive me. You had it first. When I was scrolling from the bottom up of the comments in my haste to get the right number. So Auntie Joyce had it correct. The first one who had it right. Very, very good. You had it right. Thank you for pointing it out to me.
I just
Excellent.
want to comment, even if they paid 100K for it, would it be worth it to sell it for 7 million?
Right? I mean, it's unbelievable, right? Unbelievable. So yeah, 7 million, buy it for 50, you buy for 100. I mean, geez. But again, it is 1974, right? This is 1974. So we're talking how many years of that? That's a lot of years. 40 years, almost 40 years. So it's 40 years of appreciation. I'm sure Oahu homes were super cheap in 40 years ago, I'm sure. Anyway, okay, long-winded answer. Thanks, everyone. I'm so glad you all participated. This is making me think we need to start doing some contests and some giveaways. I got to figure out how we're going to do that. And then when we do the giveaways, I'm going to give Auntie Joyce her just due on giveaway. Scott, okay, long-winded. Scott, we're having some fun. What's up on Oahu? What's the news? Or anything you want to share real estate-wise? Anything you want to share news-wise? What's happening on Oahu?
Yeah, I go back to thinking about the whales. I'll never forget this. It was probably my first or second Thanksgiving here. This was almost 22 years ago. My family and we used to sit out on the beach on these picnic tables in front of our house in Puako. And Puako drops off literally thousands of feet deep, not even a half mile out from shore. And we're sitting there. We had everybody over from the restaurants and stuff, and we're huddled around these tables having Thanksgiving dinner, late afternoon. And we see a couple of whales with a baby and whatnot right off there. It was an early season for whales at that point, and we saw it, and I'll never forget it to this day. And it wasn't far off the reef. It was the most amazing experience, and I'll never forget that, going back to one of my early Thanksgivings here. But as far as news-wise, we had Triple Crown of Surfing is it's holding its holding period right now. So North Shore Surf's up, and we should be getting some big waves. When I moved over here in 2005, I went to the Eddie Aikau for my first time. They had it, and I was standing up. You had to park 2 miles away from Waimea Bay on the side of the road. Walked out there. We're perched up above above Waimea, looking at it, and these little ants are dropping in on these 50-foot waves, and it was the most insane thing I had ever seen. And probably 10,000 people in the area watching this. So the Triple Crown of Surfing is holding our holding period. So the North Shore Surf is here, and it's pumping and ready to go. So I'm excited for that.
Good story. Scott, to pile on to your surf stories, I have two surf Triple Crown kind of surfing things that I will never forget. And the first one was the first winter I had moved here, which was 1984. I went to go see the Pipeline Masters, and it was one of these, perfect, insane Pipeline Masters kind of days. And, I was right there, and pipe breaks pretty close to the shore. So it was really, really cool. And this was in 84. This was before the thing has become what it is now. Now it's like the Super Bowl. Back then you could actually find parking, you could actually find parking and walk there and find a place to sit on the beach. You can't even get anywhere near it these days. So that was an incredible moment. And then maybe about 8 years later, I want to say 92, 93. I forget exactly when, there was an Eddie Aikau. Now, folks, the Eddie Aikau Invitational happens at Waimea Bay, and it only happens under what they call perfect conditions. So it's very rare. It does not happen every year. It only happens when Waimea Bay has like the absolute perfect condition in terms of it's got to be giant and rideable and offshore, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's very rare. And Scott, this was like 92, 93. And again, this was before it became like super popular. And I walked out. There's normally everyone kind of gathers up on Waimea Bay, the beach, and they watch from the beach. But back then there was a access through a property that was undeveloped that you could walk through and walk out to the point. So I walked out to the point, all the way out on the point, and Scott, it breaks right there on the point. And they weren't little ants, they were like life size. So it was it was just unbelievable to see these, 50-foot high waves breaking kind of like right in front of you, basically, is what it felt like. And that was just a remarkable, remarkable experience. I'll never forget that. So thank you all for sharing some great memories. And so while we're sharing some great memories, I think what I wanted to do here on this special really, really special Thanksgiving holiday. There's 35 of you here. You folks are here with us, spending your time, and I just wanted to thank you all. Thanksgiving is I've really over the years, Thanksgiving has become a real special holiday for me. I try to think about all the things I'm thankful for, and we all have so much to be thankful for. Thankful for friends and family and our health and the country, the great country that we live in, especially the great country that we live in, which is what the Thanksgiving holiday is based on. But I use that to make me think about all the things I'm thankful for, and I'm really thankful for you all. You folks have really made this fun. We get a lot of the same people come every week, which is so cool. Auntie Joyce, Joan, and Patrick, and so many folks. Kinaya, Tom, Jessica. You guys come, and it's just fun. It feels like kind of a family. It feels like a family get together. So I just want to thank you all. And maybe Scott, Heidi, if you guys want to share about hey, let's do this while we're talking. In the comments, I'd like you all to post the thing that you are the most thankful for. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? What are you thankful for? Heidi, what are you thankful for?
Well, I'm thankful for my amazing fiance, and I'm thankful that I had the courage to make a big move to Maui. When I did, it's been the best thing I ever did. And at the time, it was scary because, big change, big move. But I'm just thankful and grateful that I did that.
And I'm so happy for you about that, Heidi. Folks, if you haven't known, Heidi was engaged several weeks ago, and she at least didn't announce it on the show, but shared it with us on the show, which is really totally awesome. So, Heidi, we're super happy for you. Scott, what are you most thankful for?
For me, it's always health. I mean, without health, nothing else matters. I write that at the top of my goal list. Most people don't know. For me, I got a pretty beat up body. I had surgery on my right shoulder. My left shoulder's torn. I've had left hip surgery. I got a torn herniated compressed disc in my back and a torn calf that's never going to be the same I tore 2 years ago. So I go to a personal trainer 3 times a week just because I have to have somebody that modifies how I work out. But at the end of the day, all the things that I try to accomplish and push for and do, you got to have the energy for, and you got to have the health, you got to be healthy. And so for me, staying in shape and staying active is really important. So health is the number one thing. Without it, nothing else matters.
Yeah, Scott, as we age, it's kind of an amazing part there. Jim David, God bless you, Mom is still with us at 90, absolutely. And I thank you, Auntie Joyce, for saying that, which I wasn't quite ready to say yet. But Heidi, we want to see the ring, Heidi. We want to see the ring. So we'll be. Oh, there. Hold on a second. Let me kind of zoom in on this. There we go. Let me get Auntie Joyce's comment on there. That's it. Well, there you go. There's the ring. Congratulations, Heidi. It's beautiful. Beautiful. Love the ring. So thank you, Auntie Joyce, for asking Heidi to share the ring. God bless. It's a great thanks coming in. But Scott, you're so right. What I kind of notice is that as you get, the interesting phenomenon is, as you get older, the mind does not age, right? I don't feel any older in my mind at all. But then when I see some pictures of here's what's even weirder. Now, what do you folks think about this? What's even weirder is when I look in the mirror, I see myself and I see, my hair color, and I see wrinkles and everything like that. And I kind of see, okay, I'm older. But when I see myself in pictures, I'm like, man, I look old. So it's like your body ages, right? Your body ages and it feels these things, but your mind does not. And that's an interesting part about it. So yeah, indeed, Scott, and stuff starts breaking, right? Stuff starts breaking as you get older. Things creak and things crack, and it's not quite the way it used to be.
We've got OMD. It's old man disease. Or AGE is the other one too, right?
What's AGE?
Age.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. AGE. Yeah, there you go. Okay, I thought it meant something. Hey, we're getting some great thanks over here. So Tom Kerr, Islander Ohana alumni, living the American dream that is given the opportunity to retire. Indeed, living the American dream that has given us the opportunity to retire in Hawaii. Love that. Absolutely. And hello, helper, love to and say hello to Alex Martiner and always healthy. Patrick, even your picture kind of looks like you're kind of healthy, like you're a workout kind of a guy. Health indeed to what Scott says. Okay, I think we got we have a spammer on the thing. We have helper love here who's saying hi to everybody. So I'm going to skip those comments from now on from helper love. In fact, what I think I'm going to do is, well, we'll see. I may, yeah, I think I'm going to. We'll see how this goes. We may have to block helper love. Depends on what kind of help that we get in love. Okay, and Joyce. Yeah, there you go. Auntie Joyce says gorgeous on the thing. Excellent. Yeah. So Helper love, thank you very much, Helper. We're gonna say goodbye to you. We wish you the best. Okay. So the anyway, gang, keep calling in. We want to hear what you're thankful for on this Thanksgiving weekend, Thanksgiving holiday. I certainly am thankful for all of you for being here. All right, so gang, quick reminder: pop in all your comments. We got a couple of questions that popped in. Jessica is here with us, so we're gonna. Jessica Morris is here with us, and Jessica gave us a really good comment. Let me pull this up over here really fast. She gave us a question that I want to cover. Let me get to that question right now so we can take care of your question, Jessica. Okay. So here is the question that that Jessica sent us. My sister and I have talked about buying a duplex together for years. I've seen some quote multi-generational homes on Oahu for sale that could fit the bill. Does anyone have advice for buying a home with a family member? Is it possible to finance with two separate mortgages, or should we save up and pay cash? Is our dream going to end up in a nightmare? So this is great. So multi-generational homes are something that's real on both Oahu and Maui. So I want you both to comment on it. But since this was primarily, since Jessica does live in Honolulu, Jessica from Honolulu, congratulations, Jessica, a member of the Islander Ohana alumni that moved to Oahu. So I'd like to hear, Scott, what advice do you have for Jessica who's deciding on, should I buy a home together with my sister? Should we do a multi-gen home? What's your advice, Scott?
Yeah, it's funny. I've probably dealt with this conversation 6 times in the last month, and it's always a very technical, you got to sit and think about it. So to answer the question on cash financing, you wouldn't get 2 loans. You would basically qualify together, get 1 mortgage on the property. So you could probably buy more property together. Obviously, the more people you hooey up together with, and qualification standpoint. The biggest thing to me, though, from a philosophical standpoint is, whenever you go into an investment with someone or a group of people, and for example, when I do my projects, I've got a 25-page operating agreement that spells out in detail every example of what happens. What happens if I die? What happens if one of the investors dies? What happens if an investor wants out and wants to sell? What happens if something's not going right? There's all sorts of things you got to think about because you are investing together. And the longer you're in a marriage together in that way, the more likely your commonality and life is going to change, and people are going to want different things. What happens? You get 6 years down the road and one person wants to sell and the other one doesn't have the capacity to buy them out. What happens? You got to talk through a lot of those scenarios. Or if someone does pass away for some crazy reason, or there's a divorce or something, and things start to get affected, there's a lot of moving parts. The simplest and easiest is always doing something on your own. Whenever you add other people, especially family members, you got to be really careful to map things out and go over scenarios and document them so you don't strain that family relationship when you go down the road.
Yeah, that's great advice. That's great advice, Scott. There's all kinds of issues to consider, and it's kind of good that you have that kind of experience that you can share about things to look out for, making sure that you kind of think through all those things in advance as much as you can. That makes a lot of sense. Heidi, what about you? What's your advice for people like Jessica that are considering, how do we kind of put together a multi-generational home? Does it make sense? Should we do it? How does it work? What are the pitfalls? What things should we be considering?
Yeah, well, Scott touched on this, but if you're going to buy a property with someone, you need to get pre-qualified together. And the same lender needs to look at both of your information. You can't just each individually get pre-qualified to buy something. Another scenario, if it could work, is just have one person buy the property and then the other person paying rent. Or some people set up a separate business entity like an LLC to own that property in, and then define what the terms of ownership are for each person. So, yeah, I mean, I think Scott did a great job answering that question.
Well, and thanks, Heidi. You added a lot of important pieces, which is, I think, on the qualification side about how you do it and the LLC possibility, et cetera. So, Jessica, you're here with us, and I'm so glad you are, and you submitted this question in advance. Uh, is there anything, if you have a follow-on question, please pop it in the comments. I'm going to share something from Joan Valentine. Joan, thank you. Joan is also a alumni of the Islander Ohana. Joan is thankful that I'm finally here and I've wanted to be for so long, that I've been a fortunate part of the Ohana and that I beat metastatic, that says metastatic, I know, breast cancer, that I beat breast cancer over 28 years ago. God bless you, Joan. That's the Scott's point on the health thing. Boy, you are not kidding. And it's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. We're glad that you're here. It's great. Joan's got a great story, by the way. I love Joan's story about her move to Oahu. Joan, if you want to share that, but it was great. Anyway, Tom is thankful for opportunities, past, present, and future. Yeah, Tom, that's the way to look at it, man. I think this sense of gratitude. I think there's a lot of studies that you can read about that talk about those gratitude, expressing a sense of gratitude about things is a very mentally healthy thing to do, and so it really feels good. Great. Again, gang, make sure you get your questions in. We want to take everything in. Let me take a quick. Let's do a quick update over here on some. Can make a quick news announcement. So you hear me talking about. We have so many members here today, right now, with us who are alumni of the Islander Ohana. The next cohort is forming. We're going to start in January of 2022. Around the middle of January, the registration is open. If you're on the newsletter and if you registered earlier, you got an invite. But if you haven't, you definitely want to be a part of that. So what this is all about, what the Islander Ohana is really all about, is for people that want to move to Hawaii, that are serious about Hawaii. They want to avoid disaster, because Hawaii's not for everyone. It's great for some people, not for everyone. And statistically, 50,000 people move to Hawaii every year. 60,000 people leave Hawaii every year. And the Islander Ohana is part of that, to help you to find out whether Hawaii is right for you or not. We got decades of wisdom. I've taken my 40 years and Heidi's experience and Scott's experience and Dylan's experience, and we've wrapped it into 6 courses that teach you everything that I can think of teaching about what Hawaii is all about. Making new friends is the big deal. It's huge. The biggest benefit, and a lot of the Islander Ohana members here will attest to that, is making new friends that are on your same journey, that are also moving to Hawaii. You do this together. We have a cohort that meets every other week, no more than 15 people. And you make new friends, and when we get here, we have meetups. People get together, they have parties, and it's really kind of a cool way to kind of jumpstart your life here in Hawaii. And of course, we connect you with trusted locals. And we have a jobs connection. Of course, you have Scott and Heidi and Dylan for real estate. So really, that's what it's all about. So if I'm going to pop a link in the description, and I was not prepared to do that, but I need to do that, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to pop a link in the description that's going to take you to this page. All you got to do is just put in, let me zoom on this a little bit. There's the courses on the left, but you're going to get to a registration page on the right, and just that, fill out that registration if you haven't already. Let me pop in the comments right now. Fill out that registration. I just popped it in the comments. That'll put you on the list. You'll get the email, and there's a special discount that you'll get if you do the registration. You'll get the early bird discount, and if you buy a house from us, by the way, it pays for itself. We're going to refund you the cost of the course. So it's can't recommend it enough. We got great ratings. You look at that website, Islander Ohana, got great testimonials. It's a great program. I'm totally stoked. It's awesome to be a part of it, and I'm just happy as I can be that we've had 3 cohorts going through it so far. We got about 57 people that have gone through the process, and I'm very, very thankful to be able to offer that to you. So, all right, thanks for that little station break, and thank you, Kelly. God bless you, Kelly Hobby Bishop is a member of an alumni of the Islander Ohana, worth every penny. Thank you, Kelly. I really appreciate that. That's what we try to do here. All right. Pop in your questions, folks. Again, we're gonna move on. I got a bunch of slides over here. If I haven't covered everything, make sure you let us know. We are here for you. Let's hit this one. So got a couple ones. I got two questions. I kind of want to lop these in together. The first question is about a teardown plan. So this is from Lynn, who lives in Mililani. Lynn, I hope that you're here today. But Lynn from Mililani, and she's lived there for decades. She says, I'm thinking about buying a single family property in Oahu for an estimate of about $2 million, but I would like to demolish the home within the first few years, then design and remodel. Ideally, a living space of about 3,000 square feet. Given my current aspiration and plan, what's the general framework of steps, and what's the safe amount of money to save for demolishment and rebuild, especially in Hawaii? Cost materials, etc. What are your thoughts and suggestions on how we can make this plan more efficient? That's from Lynn. And we also had another one from Karamov and from Han in Wendell, Arizona, asking basically price per square foot. What's the price per square foot? 1,500 square foot of land, 1,500 square foot of home on a quarter acre of land. So it's kind of like different asks of the same question. I think the question generally is, generally speaking, what's the price per square foot to build a home? And if you guys got some sense of what's the price per square foot for the land, because of course we have two different things. We have the home and the land. Why don't we do this counterclockwise? Heidi, why don't you kind of start this one off? What would be your response? Average score, roughly, what could you expect if you're going to build a house from scratch on Maui? What's the price per square foot for the home? And maybe generally speaking, what's the price per square foot of land in Maui, if you have that kind of information available?
Yeah, I mean, these are great questions. It just varies so widely, depending on what area you're looking at, what type of property. As far as building, I mean, do you need to get an SMA permit? Is it in a historic area? Is there a cesspool that needs to be converted over to septic? Do you need to do 150,000 in just site preparation, moving rocks around to level the land before you start building? So there's just a lot of unique considerations. I mean, a good start is kind of identifying an area or piece of land you're interested in, and then speaking with some local builders and architects and kind of getting an idea of budget. I mean, for a very, very basic house, building costs in the past, which are, probably more now, but for something very basic, I mean, if you want a ballpark number, maybe around 500 a square foot, and that would be, for very basic construction. But there's a lot of important considerations to look into.
So Heidi, yeah, and again, there, like you said, you're so right. There are so many variables. There are so many factors. But if you just took a round number of $500 per square feet, somebody do the math for me, because I can only calculate my calculation. My math in my head has completely atrophied due to spreadsheets and computers and everything. I do everything on spreadsheets now. So I cannot tell you what 3,000 times 500 is. So if someone can know what 3,000 times 500 is, that'd be great. That would give you
about a 1,500 square foot house.
1,500 square foot is one. That was one. One was 1,500 square feet and one was 3,000 square feet. So I can do that kind of math. I do know that 3,000 is double 1,500. So Heidi, do you have the 1,500 square foot number? 1,500 times 500?
That would be about 750,000.
Okay. Thank you, Heidi. So 1,500 square foot home, 750,000. Therefore, a 3,000 square foot home would be 1.5 million. There's some ballpark numbers. Scott, before we go to you, I want to give a big, huge mahalo, a big thank you to Joan. Joan says, run, don't walk to the website and sign up now. You'll meet wonderful people and gain knowledge from Peter that you won't get anywhere else. Thank you, Joan. That's exactly what I've been wanting to do, is to connect you with make new friends, meet wonderful people that are all on the same path. And that's what the Islander Ohana is all about. Thank you, Joan. Thank you. Scott, what's your response to Lynn, who's looking, 3,000 square foot on Oahu, design, build and, tear down and rebuild, etc. What's your recommendation? You've done a bunch of these.
Yeah, on Oahu here, you're pretty much starting off at about $300 a square foot, and that's if you're on a level lot. The minute you start adding retaining wall work and site prep work and stuff, then the cost goes up significantly. But and that $300 a square, $300 to $400 a square foot just for kind of basic construction. Cost of materials are coming down now from the backlog that we had during COVID, so it's getting a little more reasonable. It had bumped up to a minimum of about $400 a square foot, but then when you get into custom, and that's going to depend on your finishes and some of the design components that you do. You're $400 a square foot and up. The custom stuff, the heavy custom stuff, starts at about $500 a square foot over here and goes up from there. I remember talking to someone not too long ago who is doing some construction work down at Kukio on the Big Island, that's where like the biggest collection of billionaires are, and they're at like $1,200 a square foot, something ridiculous. So that kind of gives you a range, and a lot of it comes down to what kind of architecture you're putting together and site work. As far as the price per square foot, I do a fair amount of it. That's a bigger mainland kind of question. We don't do it as much here. There's all sorts of factors. I mean, if you're oceanfront, you got to take into consideration the linear oceanfront frontage that you have. Some are half the size of others, and having that wider linear square footage, affects value significantly, not to mention property size. I would say you're probably in the $100 to $250 a square foot range for vacant land. It's kind of an overall general, and then it can skew much higher than that. And it's interesting, the smaller the lot, the actual higher the price per square foot it gets, and Hawaii has a lot of smaller lots. So
Yeah, I didn't really think about that, but you're right. Especially, I know certainly on Oahu, those smaller the price per square foot is actually a lot higher, right, on those small compressed properties because of their dense, where they're in, the location, urban
yeah.
proximity, et cetera. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the math on a 1,500 square foot lot? Like, there was actually a 1,500 square foot lot that I showed as a Diamonds and Deals not too long ago. And if the lot's 600,000, right, what's the price per square foot? And that's through the roof, right? It doesn't make any sense. So
Yeah, indeed, it does not make any sense. So, Lynn, hope you're with us. But I think it was a good question. I think that Scott had mentioned offline that it was a good question. So I'm glad that we had a chance to cover it. Heidi, is there anything else that you want to add to what was said?
No, not really. I mean, it's an excellent question, and it's one of those things that would kind of be worked on individually based on what your goals are and the areas you're looking at. Because, as I'm sitting here, I'm just thinking of more and more considerations and factors with permitting and CCNRs and different neighborhoods that really determine what kind of house you can build. I mean, there's some subdivisions in Kaanapali in my area where you used to be able to buy a pretty nice lot for 300,000-400,000, but then the CCNRs require you to pretty much build a $2 million home on that lot. So
And Heidi, excuse me, a CCNR stands for what?
CCNRs are going to be the covenants and restrictions of a particular neighborhood. So when the developer develops a subdivision, they agree that the neighborhood's going to have certain rules, and it's really to just create a way of living, a look of the subdivision, of what type of homes they want to build there. So,
Right.
I mean, if you're buying into a particular neighborhood or subdivision, it can be convenient because often utilities, everything's already set up for you, versus where you're buying somewhere off in the wilderness. I mean, you might not have any water, you might have to set up your own catchment system. But of course, you have to be aware of whatever the restrictions and rules are of the particular neighborhood. A lot of our neighborhoods here on Maui require you to actually use a contractor who is licensed in Hawaii to build, so not all neighborhoods would allow an owner builder permit if that's something you're looking to do. So anyway,
a lot of variables, man, that's a lot of stuff to consider. Yeah. To me, it just it kind of really says, man, you better hire an expert. You better hire someone who's done this before, who knows what they're doing. Scott, go ahead.
Yeah, you know, that's really, I mean, Heidi brings up a great point. That's really interesting. I mean, like even Hawaii Lower Ridge, when I look at Hawaii Lower Ridge or where she was, the gal was talking about Mililani, there's probably not as many restrictions there. Hawaii Lower Ridge has not only view channel restrictions, but, oh, you have to have like 14 points on your home, meaning you can't just have a box, all these different variables that come up. And it's interesting. I had this conversation with someone not too long ago because I just went through this vacant land sale, ag land on top of that, which complicates it. And we were in and out of escrow multiple times. And the biggest issue was the agents that were bringing the buyers, the agents didn't understand construction and they didn't understand ag lots. So not only do you have this, okay, I'm going to buy this property. What can I do on the property? If your agent doesn't understand all those components, man, it gets to be really difficult, a lot more challenging to move that thing through the sale process because if, for example, they wanted a 45-day inspection period, I go, what do you need a 45-day inspection period? I can tell you where your site plan should go based on how this lot is. This is where your utilities would come through, But because the agent hadn't gone through that and the buyer has fear of the unknown, now you got to bring in all these other different experts that are busy right now that are taking a lot of time. So we ended up having almost a 90-day closing on this vacant land because of the complexity that goes with building on a lot. You know, it's not just the lot that you're buying.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's kind of funny. And Jim David is commenting here. Same here in California beach areas. I mean, Jim, California is notorious for all kinds of restrictions of you name it, of CCNRs to Heidi's point, and that plus government requirements, etc. So yeah, these are the things that make this a complex process. And again, I just keep thinking to myself, man, you really need to have an expert to kind of do this stuff because otherwise, good luck. And over 1,000 square feet for several years. Yeah. I mean, this is kind of where it kind of gets us. This is where we're at with all the various overheads that people have to deal with, overheads and requirements. Heidi, to your point, for example, you have that all licensed contractor who is in Hawaii. So you can't do a design build or an owner builder kind of a thing. That's not a possibility. All kinds of things that drive up the price. All right. So, hey, gang, just a quick reminder, send in your questions. We're past the halfway point. We've got about 15 minutes to go or so. Let's kind of, since we're talking, it's been a great show so far. Really, really thankful for the show that we have today and thankful that you all are here with us. Let's, why don't we do this? Let's get to our Diamonds and Deals. This is the fun part. Diamonds and Deals is where we kind of, I've asked Heidi and Scott to bring properties that they feel are inspirational or aspirational, diamonds or deals or both. And so it's kind of fun. So let's take a look and see what we've got over here. So, all right. So this is like a beautiful property. So what's this? Heidi, this is a Kula Maui 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath for 1.3. That's a deal. Heidi, what do we got here?
So this is a single family home up in Kula in a neighborhood called Kula Manu. It's close to schools, stores, shopping. It's in a neighborhood. It has some pretty incredible ocean and Haleakala views. You can see in the upper right-hand corner,
Yeah.
there's all that seating at the lanai looking out to the ocean and the mountains beyond.
That's excuse me, Heidi, I gotta say, that's such a cool shot. I didn't quite recognize that until you mentioned it. It's like everyone's got like front row seating to look at Haleakala and the ocean view. That's so cool. I love it. Now, is there a sunrise or a sun? Would that be a sunrise that they would see over there? I can't place it right now. But anyway, it's amazing. Sorry, Heidi.
Yeah, I mean, this house is pretty amazing. It's the lot's over 10,000 square feet. There's fruit trees, there's a terrace garden, so it's great if you like gardening. You can see there you have a 2-car garage. And then on the bottom right-hand corner, there's a jacuzzi on the lanai as well. So I think that's a pretty cool feature.
A covered jacuzzi.
So it's a diamond and a deal.
This is a diamond deal. Fruit trees, I want to kind of make a quick comment on fruit. Let's leave the property so people can see it. Fruit trees are so cool in Hawaii. Heidi, I don't expect you to know what specific fruit trees there are. If you do, please chime it in. So first question for all of you who are watching, do you have any fruit trees on your property? If you do, pop them in the comments. I'd be curious to see what fruit trees that you've got. But there's, city kid, born in Chicago, to be living in Hawaii now for most of my life, there is nothing cooler, and I mean nothing cooler, than walking out to your yard, extending out your hand and plucking a fresh, perfect mango off a mango tree and eating it right there. It's the simple pleasure in life that I'm so thankful for. It's incredible. It's Heidi, Scott. I don't know if you guys have any fruit tree stories? I just love that. That's my favorite. Anyone?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Scott.
We used to have two avocado trees. Actually, it was funny. We used to have two really great avocado trees in our front yard, and I used to have the big picker and would pick them out. And it was close enough to the fence, which was funny because as they started to get to the point of being ripe and whatnot, I'd go out to the mailbox or whatever, and I'd look up, and the street side of the tree would be bare. Everybody that would walk by would come by and pick avocados and stuff. And the inside of it where we would, and there's plenty more than we could ever eat, were just in abundance. And I would get out there with the picker, but they were the big and creamy. They were amazing avocados, but and the neighborhood loved them too, because they would.
Yeah, so Scott, that's a great point, because like it's technically legal to pick fruit if it's overhanging in the public side. So if there's a fruit tree which overhang on the sidewalk, it's and it's Hawaii culture is also like, go right ahead, because there's, like you said, Scott, there's plenty more than you could ever have. I think we had the same kind of avocado tree, Scott. They were these big, huge, or like footballs, man. They were giant, and they were creamy. I remember one time we had a birthday party, had our backyard was full of family, and everybody walked away with a case of mangoes. I mean, a case of avocados. Everybody walked away with a case of avocados. It was amazing. Heidi, I don't know if you have any favorite Hawaii fruit stories or not that you want to share.
Well, I have kind of a funny story about earlier this year. I was representing a buyer who was purchasing a house in Lahaina, and there was an agreement regarding this mango tree in the backyard that any of the branches that went over into the neighbor's yard, the mangoes on that side belonged to the neighbor. Any of the branches inside the property line belonged to that property owner. And this had to be disclosed and talked about during the transaction. It didn't appear on the title report, but I think we did have to sign off on it.
Now that's funny. And hey, that's funny, Heidi. And it's kind of in the agreement because the neighbor wants the mangoes. That's so funny, right? Mangoes. I don't know about you folks, but on my wife's family side, mangoes are like fighting words. We're like fighting over mangoes, man. Like who's going to grab the mango? I mean, we get into arguments over this, wrestling over mangoes. Kelly is bought a property on the Big Island, banana tree. Wow, Kelly, banana trees, lemon, coffee, star fruit, 2 types of oranges, coconuts. Man, that is amazing. How cool is that? Auntie Joyce is chiming in. 50-foot avocado tree, papaya, mango, lime, lemon, coffee, tangerines, and now trying to grow cacao trees for chocolate. Wow. I don't need avocados, but my neighbors love me because I give them buckets full. Yeah, that's the other thing too, isn't it? The other thing that's so cool about neighborhood backyard fruit trees is, as you were saying, Scott, is way more than you could eat. There's way more than you could eat. And so, of course, what do? You bring some to your neighbors. You share, you bring excess fruit to your neighbors. We have neighbors with these lemon trees, and these lemons are just the juiciest, most unbelievably juicy lemons. I compare the store-bought to what they got. And it's like at least 3 times the lemon juice for the same square foot, same cubic inch fruit. 3 times the juice, and it's just amazing to get that in. Of course, we share our mangoes, things like that of that nature. So that's another cool, wonderful part about Hawaii is sharing of excess fruit. So thank you, Auntie Joyce, and thank you, Kelly, for sharing those great stories. Excellent. Let's move on and show Scott's property here. Let's see, what do we got here? Oh man, Scott, Waimanalo home. Let's hear it.
Yeah, I struggled for trying to pick a property for this one. There were actually quite a few that have just come on the market that were like awesome properties on the island. But the kind of the view and the nostalgia of this beach for me won out. And so this home is it's not on the beach. It's about probably 3 houses back from Waimanalo Beach. And I used to work out every Saturday morning with a group of people right out there on Waimanalo Beach at 7 in the morning. Sun would be coming up. You can see Molokai in the distance and stuff. Just an amazing place. Talk about the perfect gym. You can't beat it. And the gym membership was free. But this house is a little more than 1,800 square feet, but it's 6 bedrooms, and it has a kind of a separate cottage. So you could rent that out, or have guests and family come and stay. But it's on over 11,000 square feet, beautifully manicured, has a nice pool. You walk out your front door. It's been renovated really well. That picture in the lower right corner is this kind of covered entertaining area outside where you can hang out with friends and have the TV and everything. So you got a ton of space there. And then you're just a quick walk down to the beach. And I show this because Waimanalo is kind of country living, but yet you're really close to Kailua. Kailua is one town over, and you got ag lots that go up against the mountain area over there. But you could see you get the dramatic of the cliffs there with Waimanalo, and then you got this gorgeous beach, and it's just an amazing spot.
That is an amazing property. I mean, my favorite, when you talked about Waimanalo and you can see Molokai, I remember one night we were camping with some family on Bellows Beach, which is basically just down, about a couple miles down at most from where this picture is. So same beach, same geography, same everything. And we're camping out, and it's late at night, and we're looking out over across the ocean, and you see these little lights way in the distance. And I'm like, we're looking at it. I'm like, hey, you know what? That's Molokai. That's either Molokai or maybe Maui. But you could actually see, not only can you see Molokai, as you said, Scott, on a clear day, you could definitely see Molokai. At night, you can see the lights, which was really, really stuck out to me for some reason. We were doing crab hunting on the beach with a bunch of kids. It was just a great point. Scott, this is an amazing property. And I think on the right-hand side, what Scott was saying, folks, is something that's kind of a very common thing that people do here. They create this sort of outdoor covered, it's a giant lanai is what that is, our patio. It's a giant lanai that's covered. And so that opening part, that's not a window. That's just an opening to walk out into the rest of the backyard. And of course, Scott was thinking about these lanai. So I've seen this, like, again, well, we did it with our house. So people will create this covered lanai, and then they'll decide to close it off and make it like part of the house. So they'll, like, where that opening is, they'll put a wall there. And of course, after they've put a wall there, what are they going to do? Extend another lanai outside of that. So there's a lanai extended from a lanai, and you have like multiple lanais and patios. But it is a beautiful property, Scott. Thank you for sharing that one.
I think this is also a good example of how, the home's less than 2,000 square feet, but with that covered lanai area where you're going to be hanging out, what is that thing? Probably 500-600 square feet there. That's not factored into the interior square footage, yet you're going to spend a lot of time there. That's the epitome of a lot of Hawaii living. The houses don't necessarily have to be that big. You create a space like this where you come outdoors and come into nature. There's a pool right off the side there, and you've taken your lifestyle right outside, and weather's good all year round. So why not?
Yeah, and it's kind of funny, right? Because you look at that, the way that place is, the way this photograph is furnished. That looks just like a big living room. Looks like a family room, right? Looks like a regular family room, but literally it's an outdoor room. It's just covered, right? But you're basically outdoors, it's what makes one of the things that we are so thankful for on Hawaii, right? We're so thankful that we have this. Jessica chimed in. Thanks, Jessica. A Islander Ohana alumni. I have a Mexican lime tree on my lanai, but our friend has an avocado tree. Together we almost have guacamole. There you go, Jessica. Yeah, that is totally cool. So Jessica, is that your tree that you have on lanai, like a little sort of a bonsai kind of a lime? It must be. I'd be curious to know about that. Jessica just went through, just got some furnishings for her thing. Hey, Scott, real quick, I want to circle back. You mentioned something about earlier. You touched on it. You said that the price of materials is starting to come back down to earth. Is so no longer so that 4x8 sheet of plywood that was like worth a fortune. No more, huh? You should have sold when you could have.
Yeah, and the interesting thing that I just ran into was an insurance issue where you go to renew your homeowner's insurance, and your homeowner's insurance is up 25%. And I called my insurance guy. I'm going, what the heck's going on here? And he's like, price of lumber, man, if we got to replace your home, it's gone crazy. So we waited a little bit and then recalculated it, and the numbers had already come down. So redoing my insurance had came down also. So a little trick there.
Wow. So if you've had if you've checked not life insurance, if you've got home insurance that's gone up, you may not refactor that and re-examine it. Tom popped in. Tom popped in a question. Tom Kerr. Thank you, Tom. Good to see you, buddy. Tom is also an alumni of the Islander Ohana. Does Hawaii have green space zoning rules that limit how much of your land you can build on? Wouldn't that limit endless lanai building? Yeah, you can't have endless no matter what, whether there's limits or not. We can't have endless. But anyway, but I'm sure there are. Heidi, let's do Heidi and then Scott on Tom's question. Heidi, is there what are the greens? I'm sure there are. What do you know what the green space zoning rules are in Maui, or does it vary, or how would you answer that?
Yeah, there are limitations depending on what type of zoning you are, like how close you could build to the edge of a lot. Lanais are a way that, people don't necessarily get permits to extend lanais often. So it's kind of an easy way to extend your living space. Like if, for example, in an agricultural area, if you're on a lot that's been CPR'd and you're limited to 1,000 square foot of interior living space because you have that cottage portion of the CPR, people will build 1,000 square foot cottage to comply with the zoning rules and then build another 1,000 square feet of lanai. So it's interesting. But
It's
yeah,
kind of
always important to know, what the zoning rules are.
yeah, and I'm sure there's all kinds of ways to bend that rule too, because you could probably extend the lanai right to the property line if you don't cover it up to the property line. So Scott must know more about that. Scott, not know more about that, but Scott can add some more about that. Scott, what's your answer to Tom's green space zoning rule question?
Yeah, I think here we break the rules rather than bend them, right? or we do both. Yeah, actually, there's a couple of components on every island is different for zoning, so you need to check per island. For Oahu, there's what we call a floor area ratio, or FAR. There's a calculation that you have to do that's based on your lot size. Then they just passed about 2 years ago, based on Monster Home, how much of your lot has to be permeable, meaning it can't be solid surface. It has to be able to absorb moisture into the ground. They don't want people concreting their entire properties. It causes flood issues. But to your point about side setbacks and things like that, the reason that's there is so people don't build to their property line. Your house catches on fire, it catches the neighbor's house on fire, catches the neighbor's house on fire. I ran into that on the Big Island. I had an investment property where this guy had added on to my house. I had to go to court to do a summary possession to get rid of the guy. And I had my contractor over there. He had done a bunch of damage, and he had built out to the property line, and it was dangerous. And, that liability was actually going to come back on me. So yeah, there's all sorts of issues or sorts of rules and whatnot. And then the question is do we follow them? Because a lot of people here in Hawaii will, especially with a covered lanai, you just extend out and you don't get the permit for it. So you can have the space that you want.
And it can be sort of a pseudo temporary structure. So that if you have to bring it into compliance, if you get busted, whatever, it's not that big of a deal to kind of tear down that covering that you may have built. It's not that big of a thing. But yeah. Great. Thank you, Tom. Thanks, Heidi. And thank you, Scott, for answering. So gang, pop in your final questions. We're gonna bring this to a close here. We're gonna kind of have our closing thoughts. Why don't we kind of start it this way? So Scott, since we just got through hearing from you, I want to kind of let's Heidi, why don't you give us your closing thought to help close the show today?
Well, as we were talking about the recent sale to Oprah, that the seller had purchased in 1974, I was reminded of one of my favorite real estate quotes, and it is, "Don't wait and buy real estate and wait."
Love that. And the folks that bought that property for 50 grand can attest to that. My goodness. I'm gonna say aloha to Auntie Joyce. Stay safe, my friends. Got to run and get our tree put up, or I'll lose my husband for the day. Put the tree up. We've part of our my wife and I are empty nesters now, and we've got my wife is just this My wife is this amazing efficiency machine. So we got our Christmas decorations down where everything is kind of like just right, and we were done in 20 minutes. It's like, man, it was great, and the house is festive and decorated, etc. Kinaya, who is an alumni of the Islander Ohana, any single family homes left on Oahu under $1 million? Scott, any single family homes left on Oahu under $1 million?
Yeah, the median price is $1 million, so half or below, half or above.
Well, there you go, Kinaya. We got your number is on one of those homes, Kinaya. Hope to see you again soon. I had the pleasure of meeting Kinaya at Makapu'u Beach at our first Islander Ohana meetup, and that was a lot of fun. Scott, what's your closing thought?
Just to continue on the thankful portion, is just thankful to you, Peter, because for putting everybody together. I've met a lot of really great people through the Islander Ohana, and it's just a great connection and great group of people and lots of fun.
Yeah, thanks, Scott, and thank you. I appreciate that. And it's really, it's kind of funny when you start these things. I guess here's my closing thought. My closing thought is, start with a dream, dare to dream, and follow the dream. That would be my closing thought. Kinaya, score. That's right. Because when I started this whole thing, right, this living in Hawaii thing that I started so long ago, it's been 5 or 6 years now. I kind of didn't know exactly where it was going to go. I knew kind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to basically take sort of my experiences and my story and kind of put that into a collective website and classes and videos that kind of share and help people that were in my position trying to move to Hawaii to come over. And I would have never dreamed of the way it has turned out. It has gone far beyond my expectations. And the Ohana has been one of the coolest things, one of the most unexpected things, right? I never thought that I didn't conceive of this, but it kind of turned out that way. And it's really, really fun. It's this great group of people, and it's growing, and it's a family. It's truly an Islander Ohana. So thank you all very much. Thank you all again. Thank you so much on this Thanksgiving holiday. Thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for being a part of my Ohana. Thank you for being a part of our Ohana. Love seeing you folks every couple of weeks. And I am going to say my goodbyes now, and then let's go clockwise. Let's go, Scott, and then Heidi, say your goodbye. Aloha, folks. Have a great Thanksgiving holiday weekend.
Aloha, everybody. Happy holidays, and thanks for joining us.
Aloha, everybody. Have a good weekend. See you in 2 weeks.
See y'all in 2 weeks. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Heidi. See y'all later. Aloha.